It's Junkman nooner time. Sorry about the audio. I don't have my mic hooked up. I'm just talking, sitting here. What we're going to talk about today, I was going to save this for closer to Halloween, but I just wanted to talk about horror movies, mostly the 80s that I grew up on. Now, I'll be honest with you, I'm not a huge fan of horror movies. I haven't seen a lot of them and everything, but I don't know, maybe it's because I watched some on YouTube about Halloween. I just wanted to kind of talk about this, see what you guys like. This is really, always in these nooners ask you guys for feedback in the comments. This is real. I really want to hear what you guys got to say. Growing up, I guess, when it came to those 80s horror monsters, our generation's universal monsters, you could say, Jason, Fredy, Mike Myers, Leatherface. Starting off, was really into Halloween. Now, I didn't see it at the theater, of course. Saw it at on HBO or something, but I really loved Michael Myers. Everybody was into Jason, and I was always into Michael Myers. Like, Michael Myers is my favorite. Going back, watching Halloween now, I can't hardly watch it. It's a little slow. I haven't seen the second one in ages. I can remember going to see, I like the third one. I remember seeing the third one, also probably on HBO, and I really, really like that. Everybody gives it shit. I mean, I know it's not a great movie and everything. Don't get me wrong, I just had fun watching it. I know it's not one of the best movies ever. It's not the best. It's just, I've always had fun watching it. I think it just gets overly bashed. So, it's a little too much. It's too bashed, Then I can remember, the first Halloween movie I remember seeing at the theater was, 4, I guess. There was three of them together. It was like The Curse of Michael Myers, The Revenge of Michael Myers, and then, I don't know, The Return of Michael Myers, maybe. I don't know if they're in the right order right there. They were horrible. The fourth one was meh. The fifth one is god awful. For I remember it, but I only seen it since the theater. I haven't seen it since then. 6, I remember it being pretty bad also, and I think that's where I tapped out. That's what I said. I'm done. Get me out of here. I'm done with Michael Myers. I didn't see the Rob Zombie reboots. I didn't see H2O when Jamie Lee Curtis came back, and then that didn't happen. Jamie Lee Curtis came back again. Didn't see that. Friday the 13th, of course, is one that you guys probably big popular movie in the 80s. I saw a few of them. At least the first 3. I remember the only one I saw at the theater was the one where he goes to New York. Jason takes Manhattan, and I just felt let down. He wasn't in Manhattan, but the last 20 minutes or something, from what I remember. But I guess the one out of those 80s monster things I really fell in love with is Leatherface. I remember walking to a local video store that was by my house. It took me like 20 minutes. I would walk there, rent a movie. It was probably summer. I was home by myself, I think. I remember walking and I was like, oh man, looking at the cover of that Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the first one. Looking at that cover and thinking, I'm going to go home and watch this. Kind of scary, I was probably 15, 16 guessing. Maybe a little younger. At home watching this by myself, where you kind of like, oh. Even if you're kind of older, where you can enjoy, scary movies by yourself, it's still kind of creepy. But I remember watching that. It was just that quality of that film where it looked like, somebody just took a camera out with their buddies. It was haunting. And it stayed with me. I was like, forget Michael Myers, forget Jason, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And I didn't know then his name was Leatherface. But what I like too is they didn't ruin it with a bunch of sequels. Well, at that time they didn't. I did see part 2, and that's another one. A lot of people give part 2 a bad rep. I like part 2. I like seeing Dennis Hopper. First, as a young guy in the 80s, this is my first experience with Dennis Hopper. I came to know him since then on other things, but I really like Dennis Hopper's character. And I like that nutty guy with that middle part in his head. I really liked it. I thought it was creepy. Now, I haven't seen it since years and years, so I don't know how it is now. So you might be like, hey, Junkman, you're crazy. Texas part 2's horrible. I never saw anything, but only saw those 2. I haven't seen any of the reboots or the, I think Matthew McConaughey did one. I haven't seen any of those. But I don't think there was anything bigger in the 80s when it comes to horror monster guys than Freddy Krueger. Let's be honest. Sure, Jason was huge. Michael Myers was huge. But at least when Freddy Krueger hit, I was at that age where me and my friends and everybody was seeing those types of movies. You know, Jason came out. He was probably my brother and sister's age. Same with Halloween, but Friday for I forgot the name of it now. Freddy Krueger, Nightmare on Elm Street. It was my target audience. I saw the first one, really liked it, but I never really got into Freddy Krueger after that. Never did. Like I said, I had a friend that loved it. He has posters on his wall. He would have a mask. He even loved that Will Smith song about Freddy Krueger. He loved everything when it came to Freddy Krueger. But like I said, I never really got much into horror movies. And then there was some generic, I mean, not generic, but ones that didn't, you know, fit that monster movie of the 80s. Poltergeist, which is pretty good scary movie for a PG movie. For one you can watch kind of young. I like that one. The worst is always Exorcist. That scares that. I can remember being little in my room, had a little black and white TV, and on CBS would show it once a year, and they would show commercials for it, and I would be in the head for days on out, man, days on out, where I couldn't even get to sleep at night because I would just see visions of, you know, that little girl, and it just, ooh, I can remember a tabloid magazine like Inquirer or something around that time had an article about a real girl or boy that was possessed by the devil, and I was like, oh my God, it's gonna happen to me from watching this commercial. I remember watching it, you know, my parents would watch it when it come on. I would see some of it, and I can remember I didn't sit down and watch the whole movie. They were scared the shit out of me just seeing what I saw on edited television or just in the commercials, that voice, everything about that movie. Just, I mean, it just, whew, just thinking about it, I ain't gonna get to sleep tonight. But I guess we're running a little long, so I just want to see what you guys think about the 80s horror movies. I did see Pumpkinhead. Is that the 80s? I did go see Pumpkinhead. I remember a little boy in the lobby kept asking me, "Is Pumpkinhead a Pumpkinhead? Is Pumpkinhead a Pumpkinhead? Is Pumpkinhead a Pumpkinhead?" He kept saying he was probably about 8, and I guess his parents wouldn't let him see it, so he kept asking me over and over again while I was standing in line to get popcorn. "Is Pumpkinhead a Pumpkinhead?" I can just remember that. That's all I can remember about seeing Pumpkinhead. Maximum Overdrive, was that scary? I like that one. Tell you what was really good too, It, the TV movie, part 1. People still talk about that. That's one of the few made-for-television movies that still people have a love for. I mean, TV. I can remember seeing that and then going to school the next day. Everyone saw It, part 1. We didn't like part 2, but just trying to ramble in my head real quick to see that, because I'm sure as soon as I cut this off, I'll say, shh, I need to talk about that. But I guess as I want to talk more about the, you know, the main bad guys that we know. I don't know what you call them. They're like the 80s answer to Universal monsters, you know, Freddy and Jason and all them. But let me know what you think. What some scary movies you saw growing up. I remember rented one, had a previews of a pig guy going around with an axe. He used to scare me. I can remember this other movie my brother had on VHS tape. He only had a clip of it, and it drilled through this man's head. It was weird. Can't remember what that is. Weird. Maybe you know what that is. I can just remember that scene. My brother always wanted to watch that scene, that drill going through it. Every time somebody came over, it was like one of my friends or some of his friends, and they hadn't seen it. He's like, hey, come watch this, and he'll show that man getting a drill through his head. I don't know. Anyway, gone a little long for a nooner. Maybe this will be a good topic for a longer video. I haven't done really horror stuff. Maybe around Halloween we'll dive more into some horror stuff. But anyway, let me know in the comments below horror movies you grew up on, what you think out of the big four: Leatherface, Michael Myers, Jason, and Freddy. Who was your favorite out of those? Didn't even talk about Pumpkinhead. Anyway, thank you for the nooner. Fill up in the comment section. Let me know what you think, and we'll talk again soon.
Hey, Junkman channel popping though.
Thank you, sir, for that unsolicited testimony.